Before there was a Mexico, before borders, before flags, before the names we use today, there were people here. People with their own names for themselves, their own languages, their own understanding of the world. They built cities, they mapped the stars, they buried their dead with ceremony, they lived full lives on this land, long before anyone called it anything else. And yet, somewhere along the way, many of us lost the thread that connected us to them. Not all at once, not in one dramatic moment, but slowly, quietly, across generations, through war, through colonization, through migration, through survival. My name is Rubén Alemán. I was born in Southern California, raised in Las Vegas. My family comes from Chihuahua, from Durango, from Nayarit. Places I didn't grow up in, places I've barely seen, places that are part of me, but never fully explained to me. I grew up Mexican, but also distant from it. Spanish was around me, but it didn't fully belong to me. The culture was around me, but I often felt like I was observing it from the outside. I was called güero, sometimes gringo, sometimes pocho, sometimes Mexican. Sometimes both, sometimes neither. And for a long time, I didn't question it. I just accepted that this was normal. But eventually, questions started to surface. Questions like, who were my ancestors before Mexico existed? What did they call themselves? What did they believe? What did they lose? And why? Did I never learn about them? Not just in school, but in my own family? Not because anyone was hiding anything, because somewhere along the way, the story had already been interrupted. I wanted to be clear about something. This podcast is not about claiming an identity that isn't mine. I'm not here to claim membership in any indigenous tribe or community. I did not grow up in those traditions. I did not inherit those languages. I did not live those realities. Those communities are still here. They survive things most of us can barely comprehend. This podcast is not about speaking for them. It's about understanding how people like me came to exist. People born from survival, from mixture, from migration, from interruption. People inherited pieces, but not always the full story. But, I may not be speaking for them, but I recognize them and I see them, and they deserve to be acknowledged. Because many of us grew up with simplified answers. We were told we are Mexican or Hispanic or Latino. Words that describe us but don't fully explain us. Words shaped by colonial systems, national systems, modern systems. But what existed before those words? And what was lost in the process of creating them? This journey, for me, has been emotional, and times empowering, and times uncomfortable, and times painful, because learning history isn't just learning facts. It's confronting erasure, it's confronting violence, it's confronting silence. It's realizing that parts of your identity were shaped by forces you were never taught to see, and it's realizing that the absence you feel isn't random. It has a history. This podcast is called the Quiénes Somos, who we are. Not who we wish we were, not who we pretend to be, but who we actually are. The result of thousands of years of human history, migration, survival, adaptation, loss, creation. This podcast is not about finding easy answers. It's about asking honest questions and allowing ourselves to sit with them. We'll go back to the very beginning, to the first people who walked into these lands, to the rise of civilization, to the arrival of Europeans, to colonization, to independence, to migration, to the creation of modern Mexico, and to the creation of people like us, not as a straight line, but as a complicated story, a human story. Have you ever felt disconnected from your roots? Have you ever felt like you inherited an identity without fully understanding it? If you ever wondered where you fit in this long history, then maybe this journey is yours too. I'm not here as an authority. I'm here as a student, learning, unlearning, and sharing that process with you. I'm Rubén Alemán, and this is Quiénes Somos. Next time, we go back further than memory to the first footsteps on this continent, to the beginning.